We're going to be talking herbs today on Pots and Trowels, and that's brought to you with the support of Cobra Garden and Darlac. Hello and welcome to Pots and Trowels. Well, this weekend Jill and I have been working up at RHS Harlow Car in Harrogate in North Yorkshire, giving talks and demonstrations as part of a gardening weekend. And there are also some specialist nurseries here selling plants. And I've got one or two gaps in the garden where I need one or two more herbs. So I'm going to go and visit Garth Cottage Herbs from North Yorkshire to have a chat about their herbs. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Well, end of a day, so obviously you've got some gaps in there, which is good. So people have been buying herbs because herbs are very popular at the moment, aren't they?
Oh, yes. Since Jamie Oliver, about probably 18 years ago.
Oh, right.
Oh,
so,
yes,
yeah.
It's been on a lovely up curve. Yes, he's
Oh.
made it popular and everyone can deal with herbs now. They're experts.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I like to grow a few herbs, and I know they are very popular because they, as well as use them for culinary purposes, they look attractive as well, don't they in the garden?
Yeah, they're lovely, aren't they? Yes.
So, tips on growing herbs, because I know some herbs need different conditions to others. So, these, for example, you've got a big range of thymes. So, these
Yes.
are all Mediterranean herbs, aren't
Yes,
they?
yeah, and Mediterranean herbs like sunny, well-drained conditions. So if you have heavy conditions, you can grow them in pots. But if you can put them in the ground, it's easier. And as I say, sun, good drainage.
So good sunny position, yeah, and they'll do fine. And they more or less, because these are perennials, although they're Mediterranean, they're hardy as well, aren't they?
They are, yeah, and evergreen to some extent. And yeah, they're just a lovely addition to the garden. Yeah.
You didn't realise how many times, because I mean, this is a lovely little Archer's Gold, isn't it?
Yes.
So they all have different scents as well, don't they? So is there anything particularly that you like in these? And different...
There's a creeping lemon, but these are more ornamental.
Right.
And I'm a very practical lady who likes to cook.
Right.
So for me, probably the compact common thyme, and I like the lemon thymes as well.
Right,
Yes.
okay.
And the same conditions, as I say, for them all.
Right.
We recommend using regularly. Herbs like to be used, so gentle haircuts every couple of weeks.
Okay.
And that puts all the energy back in, and so they're compact and they go through the winter in better conditions.
Right. And then in the spring, if we've had a cold winter, do they need a trim to stimulate the growth, or do they normally
Usually not, and we use very little fertility with them. When they've finished flowering, sometimes the plant will go back. It's putting energy into forming seed. So you're better trimming that off and a touch of fertiliser at that stage,
Right,
but that's
okay.
the only time I would do that.
And of course, when they're in flower, and it's early yet for the flower, but they're really good for attracting the bees, aren't
bees
they?
are
The
all over
pollinators.
them. Yes, they do love them, and they all will flower. The flavour changes slightly when they flower.
Oh, right, interesting.
Yes. So I'm a bit ruthless on the one I cook with. I keep pruning it down, and it never happens.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So others from the Mediterranean, we've got some sage here
Yes,
as well. So they're a Mediterranean sort of shrub, really, aren't they?
Yes, and they like, again, a sunny, well-drained situation. When you use them, you take out the growing tip, and there's a little bud waiting at each leaf joint. And when you take that out, it bushes up the plant.
Right,
that node
okay.
will develop. And instead of having a stalk with some leaves at the end, you'll have a lovely bushy
Right,
sage.
yes, yeah, because they can, if you don't do that, they can get quite
This
leggy,
long
can't they?
stem with a few leaves at the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then another one, of course, from the Mediterranean
Rosemary.
is rosemary.
Yes.
And this is one I've grown before, because this has got a very upright habit, hasn't it?
And it's very scented, very
Yes.
strong flavour. It'll grow up to 6 foot, actually.
And how, because it's got a very sort of narrow columnar shape there,
Yeah.
does it stay
Keep
with that?
taking out and it'll bush up for
Oh,
you.
right,
But it will
okay.
have that general uprightness. That's a more developed one there that's
Right.
showing you it. And I like them in a border. I don't particularly put them separately. I think that the purple sage, which is good to cook with, and any of the rosemaries look pretty amongst flowers.
They do, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we've planted a few bits in the garden. In fact, I need to get a purple sage before I go today, because I've got a gap where it will fit. And I like them for their foliage as well. They look really good. So then as we walk round the corner here, you've got the marjorams and the oreganos. So what is the difference between them? Because I get a bit confused.
Oreganos are stronger, more pungent. I would use them more with Italian cooking and Greek cooking. The marjorams are a little sweeter, probably better for vegetable dishes, but if you use more of them, you can catch up more or less. But it depends how perfectionist you are about the whole thing. This one is sweet marjoram. And it is called knotted marjoram sometime. And if you smell it, it's completely different. And when I smell it, I think of sausages. They don't do it anymore. Or my grandmother used to make marjoram balls to go with lamb.
Oh,
and it's lovely.
But
it is. It dries well, but it's not hardy. So it's one of those that we have, but it doesn't sell that well.
Okay, so it won't go through them. But the rest of them are hardy,
aren't they? All hardy, evergreen. They will drop down to a mat in winter, and they will grow tall and have flowers in summer. But they are evergreen and they are hardy.
And they do respond to being cut back, don't they? If you want them to bush out.
Yeah, and they are vigorous.
Yes.
You can find that the thyme has disappeared underneath the marjoram.
Really?
Yeah. So
I like it when they're in flower as well.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
And then down at the end of the table, because you've got lots of gaps here.
Yes.
You've got your mints. Now you are
specialists in mints.
You are. Garth Cottage herbs are known, because I know one of the displays you do at the big flower shows is 50 shades of mint.
Oh, yes.
And you've obviously got a lot more varieties of mint than 50.
It seems to be something that we've always been involved with, and we enjoy. And they like shade.
Right, so we've gone from sun to shade with these.
Yeah, mainly because you're growing them in a pot.
Right.
And so they don't want to dry out. And so in a pot, go up in stages. When you get them to the pot you eventually want them to be in, be aware that they will tell you when they have filled the pot. They will get pot sick and they will die in the centre, throw runners round, and basically they're shouting, "Let me out of here."
Right.
At that point, you take them out of the pot. You can chop them in half, pick the best half, put it back with fresh soil, but be careful what you do with the other half. Or you could pot onto a larger pot.
They do. I mean, they just come in different, shapes and sizes, variegated foliage. There.
Oh yes, and some are more vigorous. Apple mint's one of the most vigorous ones. Yeah, and that's good with boiling peas and potatoes, but not for chopping for mint sauce, because it's a soft leaf and it discolours.
Right. So what would you say is the best? I love mint sauce with my lamb.
Yes.
What is the best mint sauce one?
This one. Smell that.
Oh, that is, isn't it?
It's wonderful, isn't it?
That is amazing. So
what is that? Brundle mint, and it's a Norfolk mint, and it's the one that Coleman's use for their mint sauce.
Really?
But don't be put off, it's a lovely mint,
It is a lovely mint, yes. Right, well, I'm going to buy one of those, so that's a good plan.
That one's a good one. I picked that one out, Okay. I mean, you're welcome to pick another one.
I trust your judgment.
Yeah.
And then also, I know some people say if you're growing, if you say you've got an old galvanised tub and you wanted to plant 4 or 5 varieties of mint in together, does that not work? If somebody says you lose the individual fragrance.
You seem to lose the individual flavours, and one of them will win as well.
Right.
The amount of vigorousness has some effect, but it does affect the flavour.
Right, so best grown in their own pot and then divided every few years to keep them fresh and healthy. But it's just, I mean, I'm just reading down here, there's a ginger mint, I can see an orange mint, a pineapple mint, English garden mint, lemon mint, strawberry mint, grapefruit. There's just a mint for every sort of fruit in the garden. I
hate to say it, but there's an alcoholic use on most of the instructions, from Pimm's to everything else.
Oh, right. Oh, brilliant.
But I sold out of the lime mint. Everyone likes gin and tonics, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Well, I had one. I lost it a few years ago, so I'll have to get one from you at another show. Thanks for giving us a bit of a tour around the herbs and just giving some tips on how to grow them so everybody gets success with them.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Chris is packing away now after a long day here at Harlow Carn. I've got my new purple sage and mint for mint sauce. Next week we'll be back in the garden, so we'll see you then. Bye.